Hey, how are you? Back again for part 3 of the 321 Screws R.I.P. Invitational that we like to refer to as
Headlocks and Halos.
what he said, the Teal bracket.
Woo!
There it is, head stacks. Remember, John.
Yep, exactly. So,
Heroes and Headlocks.
we are here for the next installment, the next bracket, if you will,
Yep.
in the R.I.P. Invitational.
R.I.P. Invitational. I'm excited about this one, boys.
If you're not familiar, we're just going to briefly describe it. Hopefully you know what's going on because you watched the other shows.
If not, pause this. Go back and watch the first one.
We've
And the second
taken
one.
64 wrestlers who have passed away,
No longer with us.
dearly departed.
Late greats. Passed on.
And we have entered them into a tournament that I call the R.I.P. Invitational.
Or Headlocks and Halos.
Well, yes. It's also referred to. That's the championship. It's
No, yeah.
the Headlocks
That's
and
right.
Halos
That's right.
champion. But it's the R.I.P. Invitational. You know, they kind of hand in hand. They go together. But
They do.
we're getting sidetracked. We've taken these 64 wrestlers and we've chosen at random one-on-one matchups. We
Randomly
broke it
drawn
down into four
brackets.
brackets of 16 individuals. We had the green bracket, which we already did last week in part 2 of the show.
And who
where
won that one?
The
though?
big winner of that was Bruiser Brody, won the green bracket. So
That
Pretty
was a
damn
tough
good
decision,
choice.
too.
That was a tough decision.
this week,
Kudos to Ruda Rosie.
we're doing the teal bracket.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, the winner of this bracket takes on Bruiser Brody, correct?
Possibly.
Okay.
Well, you know,
I got it
It's-
figured
it's-
out.
the 4 bracket winners are going to face each other.
Oh, in a fatal four.
No, it's not will be a fatal 4-way. It's going to be one-on-one.
And then the winners
So
of
those
those
4
be
will
the
face.
final.
We'll randomly decide the matchups when it gets down to the last 4 on who's facing who. Till there's one winner.
One
So-
winner. All right, I like it. I dig it. Let's do it.
We have this week we're doing the teal bracket, and then we'll leave the red and the blue brackets still left to do.
Okay.
So we're going to real quick before we start. I'm going to just run down the list of matchups for the teal bracket.
Before you do, real quick, I just want to say I'm really excited for this one. This bracket has quite the names on it.
Yeah, well, I was pretty excited for the last one too.
I was too,
Bruiser
but
Brody
dude, this
and Brody
one-
Lee,
This one, man.
He's excited for this one.
Bad News Brown, and Blackjack Mulligan.
Yeah, well,
There
like
was some good
that
ones.
was last week.
Right.
This is this week.
That
and
was
this is the teal
why
bracket.
There's a reason why we all voted to do the green bracket first.
We sure did.
That one was obviously the most intriguing to us. But this one, as he said, does have some good matchups. They all have great matchups, but
They're all late greats.
Go ahead, Bill. Why don't you go ahead and read
yeah,
down
here's
that
the list of candidates. Actually, you know what?
They do have great.
I'm gonna let Kyle read these while I retrieve the official teal colored pen to mark this stuff down with.
We have Macho Man Randy Savage versus King Kong Bundy. Match number 2 is Viscera, Big Daddy V,
Mabel, if you will.
King Mabel.
facing Nikolai Volkov.
Good match.
Brian Pelman of the Hollywood Blondes. Rocky Johnson,
Soul Man.
Rock's daddy.
Rock Daddy. Match number 4 is Mad Dog Vachon. Those who don't know is the father of Luna Vachon. And Jim the Annabelle Neihart. Going over to the other side, we have the 9th wonder of the world and the only female in this whole tournament, China, going one-on-one with Owen Heart, the King of Hearts, Black Hearts. We have Dusty Rhodes
That's the American dream.
Rhodes.
Getting funky like a monkey. Over here with Killer
He's
Kowalski.
just a working man.
He's a working man. Killer Kowalski.
Paying hard and
The same man that trained Triple H. Killer Kowalski.
that is a bad mother.
The next matchup, I think is going to be a squash match because we got the 8th Wonder of the World, Andre the Giant, versus Brian Christopher.
Grandmaster 60.
Grandmaster 60.
All jokes aside, though, man, I dug me some Too Cool. Just saying.
And then the final matchup of the bracket, we got Big John Studd and Chief J Strongbow.
I like the sound of those matches, boys.
That's the Teal bracket.
Not gonna lie.
So, which one's most intriguing to you, Kyle? I know which one's most intriguing to you on this bracket.
For the matchups lined up already, the most intriguing is actually the first one. Macho Man. Here he is. He's up there.
Somebody
Good old
just
match.
powered up.
Someone absolutely did.
Silence that phone. Thank you, sir. Woo!
Maybe it was Luigi.
Woo! Woo!
And they're all.
Woo!
Alright, that's enough.
Woo! Okay, I'm done. Now, Bill, why don't you take us away with the very first match? Oh, wait a minute. Before that, I want to know who you think what my favorite one is.
Easy. It's China and Owen Hart.
Because I told you earlier.
Yeah, like 10,000
Yeah.
times.
The night we picked the brackets, you told me. So
There's a reason for it,
Was
but
it-
I'm not going to get into it right now.
this shit ain't rocket surgery.
Jump ahead, Joe.
What are you, Ricky from the Trailer Park Boys? Let's do it.
So before we get started, we'll do a shot for
This-
the homies
This video is brought,
or
or
the.
is assisted.
Yes, as I said before, it is not sponsored by, simply assisted by
Yep, yep.
some peanut butter whiskey. If you've
Peanut
not
butter.
tried peanut butter whiskey, I recommend you do. It's actually kind of good.
I'll take his word for it.
It's good. I've tried it.
I want to mix some of this with grape soda and make a grown-up PB&J.
I like it.
So, anyways,
Patent that stuff, Bill.
yeah, man. Let me put my spectacles on.
It's pretty official when he puts his spectacles on.
Let's get started.
Let's jump right in there, baby.
Which bracket are we going to? Which side?
We're
gonna start on the
number
left.
one.
I don't know. I think I'm just going to randomly pick them.
You think so?
Yeah. Let's start off with Brian Pillman. Flying Brian Pillman versus Soul Man Rocky Johnson.
That's an easy one.
It's the easy one,
Is
huh?
it? That's easy, huh?
I'm
That's
going to
easy.
tell you why.
Well,
Well, no. Let me put it this way. If you're going to go, first of all, take in effect that those guys have been part of 2 great tag teams.
Yes.
Okay, so they have that side down. So they both have that in common. Okay, you want to go in the history factor, Rocky Johnson made more history than Brian Pillman. Rocky Johnson was one half of the very first African-American World Tag Team Champions.
That's fantastic.
Hold on.
What
So,
we're wanting to know is...
with those accolades, okay, you put it into effect, you look at both in the ring. Both were fantastic in the ring. Both of them could go. Rocky Johnson, I'm going to have to give it to him. Because of size, I'm going to give it to him because of agility, and just, he reminds me of The Rock.
Brian Pillman was pretty damn agile.
Pillman was amazing in
He
the
was
ring.
flying Brian Pillman.
I'm still going to have to give it to Rocky
Now,
Johnson.
size and strength, okay, Rocky Johnson. But you can't say Rocky Johnson was more agile than flying Brian Pillman.
I don't know, man. I said my piece.
I mean, he wasn't flying Rocky Johnson.
All right, well, I picked who I picked.
Right.
We obviously know who you're picking.
Rocky Johnson. No, we don't. But
Mhm.
the only thing I questioned was you
No, I
saying that Rocky Johnson is more agile than Brian Pillman, and I just disagree with that. Was he bigger and stronger? Yeah, I would say he probably was.
He
But,
was, man.
I mean, for the guy who, in his name, is Flying Brian, he was known for his, agility and
Oh, you're reeling it.
no, that's the thing that the Hollywood
Oh, the
Blondes
Hollywood
would do.
Blondes. I got you.
Yeah, I mean, they're flipping and spinning and shit. He was doing the flippy spinny stuff back before flippy spinny stuff was
Remind me
popular.
again who the
So-
Hollywood Blondes, who was Ryan Pillman's tag team partner?
He's still alive, so
Mm-hmm.
we don't really like to speak of the living. But it's one stunning Steve Austin.
That's for anybody who didn't know that. I already knew. Okay.
So, that being said,
Yes, sir.
your choice is Rocky,
Rocky
Johnson.
Johnson, Soul Man.
Kyle?
I mean, Joey pretty much summed it up with all the accolades from both awesome superstars, and you summed it up by, you know,
Give me
Flying
his
Brian
retort.
had a short stint in WCW, had a short stint in WWE, unfortunately because of his leg injury. I think he would have been a great asset to WWE.
Fortunately, it was short-lived.
Rocky Johnson also had his success in his era.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a very tough decision
It
between these
is.
two superstars. And
I shouldn't say it's easy.
I was going to go one way, but then I'm thinking underdog. I think the underdog is Brian Pillman, and I'm going to go with Flying Brian because of his agility.
Okay. So we got a Rocky Johnson and a Brian Pillman. Now, Brian Pillman, I put Brian Pillman in that same category. I think him and Owen Hart were really. I think that was would have been a good matchup, man. Owen Hart versus
And it
Brian
probably would have
Pillman.
happened if things didn't happen the way they did.
You know what? Because they were very similar in stature.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, just the tenacity, man. And he could go. And, you know, like I said, Brian Pillman, he was a hothead man. He hit a short fuse, you know. But
Which his son is now wrestling for AEW,
Yes.
and his son looks just like him.
mhm.
And his name is the same.
Yeah, Brian
Junior.
Pillman Jr. Yeah,
All right.
I think they are
Varsity Blondes.
varsity blondes. Yeah,
So, who would you have to
But-
pick? So,
you know, in the end, I think it would be the straight, because Rocky Johnson was, I mean, he was, you know, agile, quick, you know, guy.
Rocky was
you know what I'm
quick
saying?
on his feet, dude.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he
He
wasn't.
did that shucking
He
and
wasn't,
jiving.
you know, a slow, lumbering brawler.
He didn't
No,
even shake his
you know,
hand and
he
shit.
was much like The Rock. You know, he had energy. Now, do I think he was as quick and nimble and agile as Brian Pillman? I do not.
Maybe not.
But I think it boils
I can
down
see
to
that
he
point.
was quick and agile enough, and when you combine that with his strength and power, I'm putting my money on Rocky Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Both in their prime, Rocky Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
So, that being said, we're going to move Rocky Johnson on to the next round, and we're going to move on to the next matchup. And the next matchup is, let's go with Big Daddy V, Viscera, versus Nikolai Volkov. I'm just going to go, I'm going to give my choice first because there's just not a lot of debate to it. I'm going with Nikolai Volkov.
Wow.
Nikolai Volkov at the prime, you know, at the height of his popularity in his career, you know, back, I mean, he was taking on, you know, he was going against big guys,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so,
Nikolai Volkov is a big guy in himself.
and he is a big guy also himself.
He was bad
And
money.
I think he would have been able to, he's big enough that he could have handled, you know, Viscera and would have been victorious. So,
I can see that.
my money's on Nikolai Volkov. I'll let, Kyle, I'll let you go next.
as we all know, that Nikolai Volkov is probably singing the Russian national anthem right now, and he was a very successful tag team wrestler. But Big Daddy V, Viscera, has had success on the tag team side and on the singles side,
Yep.
and that is one big bitch. That's like over 500 pounds, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Of Big Daddy V.
And for a big dude, he can move.
Big Daddy V, baby.
For a big dude, like,
So you're going Viscera.
I have to go Big Daddy V.
Okay.
but for
Joey,
let me,
we got one for Viscera. We got one.
I'm gonna add this into
We
what
got
Kyle was
one
saying.
for.
I'm gonna add this
Nikolai
into what
Volkov.
Kyle was saying. Nobody moved at that big like he did, dude. He was doing moves, you know, with a man his size, you wouldn't normally see. He carried himself well in the ring, you know. So I gotta go with Viscera. He's been Viscera, Big Daddy V. He was also the world's largest love machine. Remember that? When he was all up on Lillian Garcia. So
Well,
I mean,
Nikolai Volkov.
And you also, like I said, you also got to put in perspective. Nikolai Volkov had more success as a tag team wrestler
then
Yeah.
he did singles.
than singles, and Viscera had more singles time. So
Yeah.
he has the more
Let me
experience.
just ask you, what character that he played, because he played multiple, did you think he had the most success of? Big Daddy V, Viscera, was it Mabel?
I think Viscera got him the most spotlight because he was part of the Undertaker's whole fucking,
corporate ministry.
you know,
Or
ministry.
I can agree with that, but you know where he really did get some hype? Was when he was on the ECW brand and he was rebranded as Big Daddy
He
V.
did get some hype,
He did, because he was taking out people with that sidewalk slam, bro.
but you know,
But I get what you're saying, because at the time with the Attitude Era,
Yeah, because
the
he was.
Undertaker was
Yeah,
involved.
he was riding on the coattails of, you know,
it
of
wasn't.
the
It wasn't
Undertaker, and you know, they had Edgy Christian was part of that shit.
It was the
APA.
Brood when they were the Brood.
Big
Yeah.
Daddy V wasn't a very long stint. It was very,
Midian.
very short.
Yeah, I think it was like maybe a year,
Yeah.
maybe two, if that. But yeah, so Big Daddy V, across the board Viscera, that's who I picked. That's who won the match.
Yeah. So let's go on to the next one. I'm just gonna jump right over here to Andre the Giant versus Brian Christopher.
Well, you all know my pick.
You go first.
Well, I'll say a little bit of info about the two superstars. Everybody. I mean, even if you didn't watch wrestling, even if you never heard of wrestling,
Right.
you know
I
the
love
name
these candy canes, bro.
of Andre the Giant because he's just that damn big, that damn. He's an attraction for the company.
You're attracted to Andre the Giant?
Do it.
An attraction.
Oh, an attraction. No, I'm straight.
Well,
Thank you.
yes. In honor of the boys, yeah, I'm gonna give a little swig.
I already
I'll
have
give
mine.
this way. Here you go.
See, yeah, me and Kyle are honored.
Look, I got all respect.
And
for
then you got Brian Christopher.
Cease, believe me.
I mean, we know that Brian Christopher is he the son of Jerry Lawler? Or
Yes.
the cousin?
He is the son
He
of
is the
Jerry
son
Lawler.
of Jerry
Lawler. He didn't have a whole lot of success.
No.
So it's really
Well-
like I said, it's gonna be a squash match for me.
Yeah.
You know, right? I want to say something real quick. When I was looking up some of the stuff on him, when I looked his thing up, I thought the same thing. Oh yeah, his titles, a couple of them, but
Light heavyweight champion.
he had quite an extensive list of championships that he had won
Outside of
outside of
WWF.
WWF and
And
other
smaller
territories,
territory
promotions and stuff. But
Indie shows.
I mean, he had. I would say he probably had. There had to be at least close to 10 different championships.
And that's-
some that he'd won more than
Right.
one occasion.
But now, here's the thing, and I'm going to go next.
But
My thing with Brian Christopher and Andre, naturally I'm going with the Giant, Andre the Giant. But I do want to say that Brian Christopher may get a few moves in because, you know, he moved out of the way and Andre maybe hit his head on the turnbuckle or something. But
yeah,
he's not hitting that.
He's not a little quick guy, but what, I mean, honestly,
What
what's
was the
his
leg
stuff
drop
gonna
he
do?
did? He's not
Put the fucking goggles on.
the hip hop drop.
There you go.
He misses it. Andre's like this. He's going to try doing one while Andre stands. And Brian Christopher's going to jump off the top rope. And Andre's going to just chop him in his face and smack him. And it's going to be over.
Yeah.
It's going to be done.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Christopher, like I said,
Finito.
he'll run around the ring for a few minutes.
And it's going to be a pin it's going to be a pin where it's the 1 foot pin where Andre's standing.
Yeah, but I mean, even if he
2 minutes.
even if he connects shots on Andre, it's not really gonna have much.
No, Andre's going to
So that's a landslide.
Yeah, man, it's unanimous.
Andre the Giant.
Andre, no offense to Brian Christopher, may he rest in peace, but
Oh, I love Brian
Grandmaster
Christopher. I thought he
Sexay.
was entertaining.
He was very entertaining.
I dug
that was his role, to be entertaining.
And he did have one hell of a promo when they brought him in for the Michael Cole, Jerry the King Lawler feud. You don't remember that? He came out to the announcer's table and just told Jerry the King Lawler
Oh,
off.
yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. But other than that, yeah. So,
Alright, so next we're going to go with Big John Studd and Chief J Strongbow.
well, that one's a hard one.
Yeah, John Studd's big, he was a big boy,
He was.
Big, powerful guy. Chief Strongbow, he wasn't a little guy, but he was from
An era.
He was from that
A
era,
tough
dude.
guy
Where they
era.
were that,
Same-
that
same
tough guy
era.
era, man. The
The
Harley
same
race,
era
as
the
Philip
funk,
Kowalski.
Bruiser Brody, yeah, guys like that, yeah. Stan Hansen and
What about Kowalski?
Blackjack Mulligan and
Wasn't Chief J in Kowalski's
Yeah.
generation?
yeah.
Okay.
So he's more ground and pound, more hardcore, more on the edge than Big John Studd over there. So
But Big John Studd was a big, powerful man, though, man.
He was, dude.
he also made a name for himself as well.
He did, because he was the guy that would go against the other giants like Andre,
Big John Studd to me was like the
Yoko's,
first
all
of
those
the.
guys.
He was like the first of the.
The giants.
I was gonna say he was the first of the quick big men. You know what I mean? The big guys that could move
Could
fast.
go. The big guys that could go.
He was kind of quick, because he was big, but he was more trimmed than like your King Kong Bundys and.
I remember when him and Andre were at a WrestleMania in a body slam match.
Yeah, that was for some money.
That was for money. Bobby the Brain got all over that.
Body Slam Challenge.
Yeah. So
who's your pick? Is who? Cheat?
he didn't give a pick yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
you.
you.
Yet,
I thought you picked. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No.
Between Big John Studd and Chief J Strongbow, very, very, very evenly matched. But like I said, once again, I'm going to have to go with the generation. Chief J Strongbow was a little bit before Big John Studd. The generation he comes from is more rugged, more hardcore, more lethal. I'm going to go with Chief J Strongbow over Big John Studd.
What about you, Bill? How do you want to call it?
Yeah, it's a tough one, but John Studd, he is. Big, strong guy, man. Like I just said, and he was, for a big guy, he could move, he quick, but I'm kind of leaning towards, like what Kyle said,
That rugged.
Chief J Strongbow was, he was a big guy too. He wasn't no little man, but he was scrappy. He was a tough man, and wrestling was different back then. So I mean, those guys were a different breed, and I gotta go with Chief J Strongbow first, also. So I mean, that's gonna move him on to the next bracket. But
What?
who is
What are
your
thoughts?
I'll make it a landslide because again, like what you guys were talking about, but also too, here's something that might be a little unique too, a unique factor. Back in Strongbow or Chief Jay's days and all that, the business was protected. People were like, these guys are really bad guys and these guys are really good guys.
Right.
They did not hang out with each other. They protected the business so much that they weren't even seen out in public with each other.
Mhm.
And they could have been best of friends, but to me that adds more to like what you're saying, the rugged and the what people, how much they believed in it. Like this is real shit,
Right.
So for that, I'll give it to Chief Jay. So we'll make that a landslide.
Okay. All right, let's jump on over here to Mad Dog Vachon versus Jim Neidhart.
Boy,
Oh boy.
that's gonna be a brutal one.
Mad Dog Vachon. Just hearing the name,
Makes me
you
scared.
talk about scary, and then you think about Luna.
Yeah, but, however, though, think about Jim Neidhart. He was that same breed of guy. He was
Jim Neidhart was a tough dude.
Yeah,
Jim Neidhart was tough, goatee, Heart Foundation, a lot of success. But here's the kicker. Once again, a lot of success as a tag team competitor.
True.
And Mad Dog Vachon was more a singles competitor.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't, honestly, there wasn't a whole lot of tag team, really big, known tag
Back
teams
in his
then.
day, the Sean.
Right.
If you think about it, there's a handful. And even then, they weren't like, not too many of them were.
I mean,
Well, no, I really, when I'm thinking back, I can't really think of any big names that are jumping out. The farthest back that I'm thinking about tag teams, I'm thinking, Midnight Express and, the Rock and Roll Express and Road Warriors and Freebirds and the Horsemen and
Crime Time. I'm just kidding. Okay,
they're a little.
they're a little
So-
further on.
So, yeah, so then your choice is who then?
well,
After giving that summary.
Well, like I said, more people probably heard the name of Jim the Anvil Neidhart just because of the Heart Foundation and Stampede Wrestling. But in a matchup, one-on-one between Mad Dog Vachon and Jim Neidhart, I'm going to have to go with the experience and the more ruthless generation of Mad Dog Vachon. That's my pick.
I'm gonna second it.
I will third it.
Yeah,
Another landslide.
nothing
Yeah.
against Neidhart.
No, he's a
Neidhart,
fucking
Because he's
tough
a
guy,
bad
man.
mother,
He is
He was
but
a tough guy,
Badass.
but
but
Mad Dog was just.
I gotta give it to Matt.
Not
Dog, man.
disrespecting these superstars or these wrestlers by a landslide, it's just who they got matched up with. Jim Neidhart was a bad mother effer.
Yeah. So,
Watch your effing mouth.
we'll finish up on this side over here with one Randy Macho Man Savage versus King Kong Bundy.
Macho.
Macho.
Macho's saying, yeah, you guys better fucking pick me. Yeah. I don't know.
Macho Man didn't.
Snap it to a candy cane.
You got a legendary guy, and I'm repping the LOD.
Well.
So
Y'all don't know about
So, who wants to pick
I'm
this
just
one
gonna
first?
tell you now. I'm going for Macho Man because I have seen Macho Man
Wait, was
beat
this-
King Kong Bundy.
Oh, this is him
So-
and Bundy.
I watched it happen. So
Okay.
Well,
that's why I'm saying.
let's
and
just have a little bit
is
of a
just-
rundown first.
Macho was Macho Man. Macho beats King Kong Bundy.
Before we just jump right into the choosing.
Fair enough.
King Kong Bundy, once again, was one of the great big men
Yeah,
back
yeah.
in the day.
He
He's
was-
had a lot of
yeah.
success.
I would have loved to have seen Viscera versus King Kong Bundy.
Yeah.
Vader
Or Big
versus
Show.
King Kong Bundy.
King Kong Bundy.
Vader versus King Kong.
He was a big part of the Heenan family, if y'all remember that as well.
Yep. So,
And then you have, of course, the man, one of the best, if not one of, Macho Man Randy Savage, multiple-time WWE champion, WCW champion, Intercontinental champion.
One of the greatest matches ever in history he was part of against one
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, WrestleMania 3. Match that is
Arguably-
still talked about.
Arguably,
Till this
the
day.
Best
greatest
match
match
at WrestleMania.
ever.
So,
So many near falls.
Who am I picking? I gotta go with, ooh, yeah, Macho Man.
sir.
Gotta go with the match. Gotta go.
Horrible impression, but good
I'm not good at it.
selection.
He can do it. Go ahead.
Good selection.
Ooh,
So, Mach is moving on regardless because we've already got two choices, but I want to hear your take on Macho Man versus King Kong Bundy.
Macho Man, like Kyle said, with the accolades that he has. King Kong Bundy's entertaining, but his accolades cannot compare.
Right.
And King Kong's been in the ring with some of the greatest, but Macho's been in the ring with much more of the greatest. And I gotta give it to him. WCW, he was on top. WWF, he was on top. Wherever he went, he made money, he entertained. I'm giving it to Macho Man Randy Savage. With the elbow, 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Boom.
Right.
All
here we
right.
go.
Well,
I already know Joey's.
here we
pick
go.
on this.
Moving over to the other side to finish off that bracket. We got one Dusty Rhodes versus one Killer Kowalski.
Ah.
Son of a
Joey,
plumber.
I want to hear your selection first.
Okay.
And your opinions are.
Huh?
Well,
Go
his
ahead.
selection.
Oh.
Who's you choosing? Who's winning? Dusty Rhodes
Why?
versus Killer Kowalski. Now, mind you, these
different
are
generations.
guys. These are. We're talking in their primes. Dusty in his prime.
I know.
Each one of these.
The bionic,
It's the person in their prime, at the height of their
what was
career
the
popularity.
elbow, the bionic elbow,
Boom.
versus the claw. Okay. So, honestly, if I'm gonna pick, I'm gonna go with the one that I know the most. And that's gonna be Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes was the guy in the South. He was one of the top guys.
He's just a working man.
He is.
Common man.
Son of a plumber. So,
Get a funky like a
Anybody-
monkey.
and yeah, man. So, the thing with him is, I think, because of his background, because of his popularity, Killer Kowalski, again, he was in the Bruno Sammartino generation, a more protected, nitty-grittier. I mean, they bite each other in the ring. Anything he could do, he was the ultimate
Gotcha.
crazy bad guy. But I'm going to go with Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes pulls out the match.
Whoa! Choosing Dusty over the guy who taught one of his
Triple H.
all-time favorites.
Oh, Triple H is one of my all-time favorites. And Killer Kowalski did an amazing job with him. But I cannot deny the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Okay, very
So
good.
that's
Very
my
good.
pick.
Very good. Kyle,
Well,
Killer Kowalski, Dusty Rhodes, the American
Dusty
Dream.
Dream. Dusty Rhodes. Well, once
Dusty
again,
Rhodes.
this is a very difficult decision because both athletes, both superstars, have had amazing careers. I mean, Killer Kowalski was way back in the day, but he was so good that you still hear his name even today. And then of course everybody knows the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes,
And
and his success
yeah,
in NWA.
I want that as a
yeah.
promoter.
And as you like to have pointed out in some of these other matchups about their era, they were in that tough guy time. Even though they weren't necessarily like same era per se, I mean,
Dusty
Kowalski was a little before, but Dusty was still in a rough
had
and
some
tough
rough matches with Harley
times.
Race and Ric Flair. That I mean,
The Road Warriors,
Roddy
and
Piper.
the Freebirds.
it was some rough times. So it's a very, very difficult.
Jimmy, the
you
Boogie
can't go
Woogie
a generation
Man
this time because Dusty has been cut open so many times. You see the blades on the scars on his face, but yeah,
He had his eye gouged out, for God's sakes,
if-
by the Road Warriors.
if I had to pick by the skin of my teeth, I think just because he might be a little bit faster, a little bit more agile than the American Dream, I'm going to have to go with Killer Kowalski by a slim margin of winning that match.
Before you go, I just want to say the other Royal Wrestling family. Rhodes. Sorry, Cody Rhodes.
Well,
hey, come on, it goes with it.
Hey.
All right.
in light of what you're saying, I would like to give my rebuttal.
Woo!
Wasn't expecting.
Woo! 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 Woo!
It is 12:30.
So,
Yeah, we probably should.
you made a very valiant point.
Who,
And
Kyle?
yes, you know,
What about me,
but I just can't go against the Dream.
Well, I can't, bro. It's
The
sacrilege.
Dream,
Especially after he
Listen.
couldn't figure out who was on the 20 question with the collaboration.
we don't need to talk about that. Last
Why you
fan
bringing up old
standing.
shit, Kyle?
Mumbles. I haven't forgot about what you did to me. You set me up.
Anywho,
So, but yeah, I mean, Dusty Rhodes, he can throw down and dirty with the best of them as well, and he's done it, dude. He has been bloodied, and he has bloodied a many.
some of the greatest, like Flair.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Flair, the Funks, the
Harley
Freebirds,
Race.
the Road Warriors, Sting back in the day, you know.
The Stinger.
I mean, that era, those guys, it was just. Yeah, Dusty Rhodes, man. I'm going with Dusty. It's a war, you know. They both come out of that bloody,
It is
but
a
I think
war.
in the end, Dusty Rhodes takes it, and he moves
I told
on.
you that I dug this bracket, man. This was probably my favorite one.
So now the final match of
I already knew who Joe was picking.
the opening round, we have one Owen Heart versus China, the lone female of the. Joey's going last on this one.
And Joe knew who he was picking.
The lone female of the group, and I'm gonna go with. Well, I'm gonna give you my decision first here this time.
I know you're picking.
I really honestly think that the two of those people could put on a good match.
Oh yeah.
Could put on a
Sure
good
they
match, a believable match. They're Owen Hart's one of the best people I think to match up with China, because he wasn't a real big guy,
But he wasn't too small.
but he
either.
wasn't too small. He was technically sound,
He was just right.
and and could, where he. I mean, in all honesty, was he the better wrestler than China? Yes.
Oh, without a doubt.
Without a doubt, he was.
He was in the dungeon, bro.
Right, but China was good enough. Good enough combination of wrestler, brawler,
Yep.
you know.
Who also trained with Killer Kowalski.
Right. And I think Owen could really make a good match, with her.
With that said,
With that said, I think China wins. Because it's believable that she could. China is tough, and she is powerful, strong enough that I think Owen Hart would be one of those guys who maybe would hold a little something back because it was China, the good guy, a part of him, and she would take advantage of that. And she's big and strong enough to pull a move off to, surprise him. You know, he doesn't expect and get the win. I just
Maybe
I
with
think
a
that's
low blow or something.
you know
China love them low blows, bro.
whatever
That's their best
whatever it took, you know, and then she finishes him off with a pedigree.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's my choice.
I mean, I can
is
see that.
It's China. China takes out Owen Hart.
Well,
Kyle?
Kyle.
To run down the accolades of both superstars, Owen Hart was a European champion, Intercontinental champion, multi-time Slammy Awards, tag team champion, part of the Hart Foundation,
Former King of the Ring.
former King of the Ring. List goes on and on. Awesome wrestler, technical wrestler. Then you got China, the first and only female to this date to win the Intercontinental Championship. She was the first female wrestler entered into the Royal Rumble,
Ever. Yep.
and she's a multi-time women's world champion. Put on the mat, she's a great attraction. Put them in the ring, one-on-one. Like Bill said,
She one-on-one took on some of the best
some of the best.
in the business at the
Look
time,
at the
too.
match between herself and Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett was Owen Hart's partner for a long time. So let's just take a look at this. In the ring, like Joey said, you know, China's got backup. She's got T-Generation X. She's got Rick Rude. She's got, you know, she's very, very crafty at how to win matches.
He was part of DX, so he made Barry B with her at ringside.
So,
He was there for a cup of coffee.
going with what Bill said about Owen not wanting to hit a woman as much, China's not give a shit attitude towards Owen Hart. I mean, and just because I want to piss off Joey,
It's not
just
gonna
tiny
piss me
bit,
off because I love China, but
and give the only female in this whole tournament at least one victory. I'm going with the 9th Wonders of the World, China. So what were you gonna pick, Joey?
I was gonna pick China. No.
You weren't.
I was gonna pick
No, he
Owen
wasn't.
Hart. I was gonna pick Owen Hart because
Well, give your by all means.
the
you
reason
know?
being, Owen Hart was the type to capitalize. He was better as a heel. So if I saw them in a match, I would want China to be the face, him the heel, and with how much duping that China does in the ring, Owen Hart's able to one-up her, and he wins. Maybe not clean, but he wins and he would move on. Reason being is I always felt Owen was going to be a future WWF champion at the time, WWE champion. I felt that if that thing did not happen, that horrific accident, and again, I'm going to be real with you, I feel like Brett leaving the WWF kind of hurt Owen's career. That's not blaming Brett. Brett had to do what he had to do. But my whole point to this is that the fact that Owen never became a world champion, he's hungry, bro.
Yeah.
And he would have done it. To me, he's one of the greats.
Right. You're right, though. It was a horrific accident, but silver linings. Had it not happened, he could be part of our R.I.P. Invitational.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's morbid or if that is fitting.
Well, while you're trying to figure out which it is,
What it is. Let's move on.
I'm going to ask the folks out there watching to go ahead and take this moment, hit that subscribe button for us.
Yeah.
Give the video a thumbs up.
Ring the bell.
Yeah, ring the bell. And then share the video, please. We never ask people to share. Just share the video. Even if you don't want to give us a thumbs up, just share it. Share it. Let someone else watch it.
And
Maybe
follow
they'll
on
give us-
everything 321 Screw.
Yeah, we're on Twitter. We're on Instagram.
Check out our pages. We have,
Yeah.
we have
So,
our
that
own
being said,
pages.
want to do that for us?
Captain
Give us,
Bill Case Wine.
give us a salad. Yeah.
We're here
Let's
every week.
move on to the next
To
round
entertain you.
of the teal bracket. Let's go first to down here to old Rocky Johnson, who advanced with his victory over Brian Pillman, 2-1 Mad Dog Vachon, who beat out
Oh,
Jim
boy.
Neidhart. So Rocky Johnson, Mad Dog Vachon, Joey.
I'm going with Mad Dog Vachon.
Mad Dog Vachon taking out Rocky
It's going to
Johnson.
be too vicious for Rocky Johnson.
Kyle?
I will one up, and because, once again, I'm going with the generation. Mad Dog Vachon was a little before Rocky Johnson's time. Once again, Rocky Johnson was more of a tag team wrestler,
Here we go.
and Vachon was a singles competitor. He has more experience. I'm going to go with Mad Dog
Oh, my
Vachon
bad, dude, I didn't know.
over Rocky Johnson.
My money was on you, Rocky.
Rocky, Rocky, Rocky.
But the majority has spoken,
Mad Dog
and Mad
Vachon
Dog Vachon
advances.
will be moving on
Uh,
in the bracket. He's making it to the semifinals here. Mad Dog Vachon. Now let's move over here to Andre the Giant versus one Chief J Strongbow.
Andre.
Well, I'm not just going to spit it out like that. I'm gonna
Andre.
give a reason and some information on it. Once again,
Educate us, K-Swine.
once again, Andre the Giant.
Drop some knowledge
If
on
you haven't
us.
watched wrestling, you heard the name. He's been undefeated in his pretty much all of his career, except for maybe 2 or 3 matches.
I think Bill froze.
You okay with it?
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
All right.
He's back.
Chief J Strongbow, unlike no offense to Brian Christopher, Grandmaster Sexay, would definitely give Andre a run for his money, but I think Andre the Giant pulls it out in the end and gets a 1, 2, 3 up over Chief J Strongbow.
The fact alone, to me, Chief J was an amazing star, but with storytelling, it took somebody like Hulk Hogan to finally
Yeah.
beat Andre the Giant. So I'm going with Andre the Giant.
Who you going with, Bill?
I will also go with Andre the Giant.
It's a landslide.
It's a landslide once again for the 8th Wonders of the World,
Andre
the Giant.
Oh,
My grandma
now,
used to call him Andrea the Giant.
next up,
I used to
we
get a
have-
kick out of that.
China, fresh off her defeat of Owen Hart, against one Dusty Rhodes,
This should be easy.
who took out Killer Kowalski.
Like China.
I'm just going to say this now. I'm just going to go ahead and cut all the bullshit. As where Owen Hart might have been a little apprehensive, I feel, to really lay into China in the match, Dusty ain't got no problem putting an elbow to the female if she needs it.
It's going to be a 1, 2, 3.
And Dusty Rhodes would be victorious in this matchup, in my opinion.
As many accolades as China has as a female competitor, living in a world of dominated men,
Cannot compare.
the list goes on and on
For
of
the son of a plumber.
accolades for Dusty Rhodes. I have to go with the American Dream over the 9th Wonders of the World.
Yeah.
And
That's a
a
landslide.
landslide victory right there.
All right, here we go. One more.
Yeah. Just like Stevie Nicks said, a landslide.
Quarterfinals. Final
Yes, sir.
match coming up.
And it's one Macho Man versus Big Daddy V Viscera.
Well, what do you pick? Who's winning the match?
Macho
Match.
versus Viscera.
And this.
We've seen it a million times. The big guy makes a mistake. The little guy capitalizes. Macho gets his butt kicked most of the match. He finds an opening. He takes it. He weakens Viscera, maybe a knee or whatever.
Oh yeah, it's
But
clearly
it's
going
going
to
to
be a
end
knee.
with the elbow off the top rope. Macho Man, 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah!
Mach has much more heart and much more stamina.
Oh yeah, he's
Then-
going to tire
then
old
this-
Viscera out, boy.
Viscera's already had.
Viscera's going to be winning.
Viscera's already had one match. He's already winning before he even gets out there.
Plus, he could use Miss Elizabeth to distract the hell out of Viscera, because Viscera, when he was...
Yeah, because she qualifies. She could be ringside.
Oh,
She
yeah.
qualifies.
She's
She
up
could
there.
be there.
So,
Mach takes Viscera for me.
I'm with you. I agree. Viscera.
Macho
You know, Viscera. Viscera comes out of the gate. He starts out, because Macho's going to come at him and try to like run and I don't know, body check him or close on him or something. And Viscera's just going to look at him.
Hey,
well, Viscera, like for the first 2 minutes, he'll toss Macho around.
Maybe 5.
But then Macho's going to
Come back.
He's going to come back. He's going to clip him at the knee.
It's what I like to call.
He's going to chop him down like a big oak tree. And then it's going to be elbow from the top rope.
And I know
Maybe even 2.
I know
3.
I know Big Show was a lot lighter back then, but
Well,
also back in 1996, 95 era of WCW, Macho Man slammed the Big Show.
Not to mention, Macho Man just beat King Kong Bundy, so you already know what he's got to do to take the big man down.
Macho Man's having a tough time in this
Yeah,
tournament.
man, he's...
Hey, check out the tournament he was in at WrestleMania 4. He won that whole thing.
Yeah.
There's the reason.
So,
Andre
here
Giant
we
was part
are.
of that one.
These semifinals. Let's go to the first matchup. It is one, Dusty Rhodes versus Andre the Giant.
That's a tough one to call.
Man, oh man, oh man. I want to tell you what. The American Reed Dusty Rhodes, once again, just like Chief J Strongbow, he is going to come this close to defeating Andre the Giant. But just because it's Andre the Giant, I'm going to give it one more time to Andre the Giant.
Now me, I'm going with Dusty Rhodes because, again, Dusty Rhodes, he's a brawler, man. He's a scrapper. He came from that that era of wrestling, man, when those were some tough physical guys.
The
And
territories.
Dusty Rhodes, he could move, he was quick, he was nimble.
He was good on the mic.
And he was big.
Yeah, and he was a big boy, and I think he could
Handle himself.
I think he could run around enough. He's going to wear Andre down.
In his prime.
We're talking Dusty in his prime, dude,
I got
He's
you.
going to wear Andre down, and not only that, if Andre did get shots in, Dusty was a tough son of a bitch, dude. He could weather the storm. He's weathering the storm much better than Brian Christopher was. And Chief J Strongbow, I mean, yeah, Andre is, as you pointed out, you was in the last bracket, you got to think of who this guy's in his face. He's just come off a hard physical fight against Chief J Strongbow. Dusty just came from fighting China.
That's right. Yeah.
And he's quick, he's strong, and again, same thing. He's going to chop Andre down. He's going to get Andre down to his knee where he connects with that elbow. And Dusty gets the win.
And I could see it that way, Bill, but I'm going with Andre. I'm going to go with Andre because Andre the Giant, again, 8th wonder of the world. We know his accolades. He was rarely beaten
In WWF.
And
You go watch matches of Andre the Giant.
Okay.
Before he went WWF,
right.
Andre lost.
It's not going to change my mind.
Andre lost.
Okay. But what I'm trying to tell you is, where was Andre's biggest peak at? WWF. So that's the Andre I'm going with. Andre the Giant wins against Dusty Rhodes. Andre wins by a bear hug. He makes Dusty Rhodes pass out. Dusty never taps.
There you go. I like that.
Dusty never taps.
Andre the
I
Giant.
will mark down y'all's incorrect decisions.
Hey,
Well, put it down.
that's okay if it's incorrect, but that's the vote.
Dusty
That's
Rhodes
it.
does not give up, but Dusty
Majority
Rhodes
rules.
cannot continue. Because Andre had a mean bear hug.
We have, in our first competitor in the final is one Andre.
The Giant.
Now over here,
Oh, this is going to
We got Mad Dog Vachon
and
versus the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Ooh, yeah.
We're gonna do that every time, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Who you like? Macho, Mad
Well,
Dog.
Mach just had 2 big time matches against 2 big men. Now he gets to face.
If you guys can see that, that's a Macho shirt, so we know where I'm going with this. But go continue.
What was his name?
He just had 2 matches against 2 big men going
Now he gets
King
to,
Kong Bundy.
now he gets to have a little bit evened up match against Mad Dog Vachon. And even like I said before, back in the day, Vachon had the generation of ground and pound and viciousness. We'll go to old Mach, was just as vicious as anybody else.
And maybe a little bit more psychotic than Mad Dog Vachon.
Absolutely.
Definitely obsessive.
You ever see him? You ever see his interviews?
Cream of the crop. Oh yeah.
I am going with the man. He supports us up there. Macho Man wins over Mad Dog Vachon.
Dig it. Okay, Bill.
Macho Man.
I tell you what.
Macho Man does it because, like he said, he's just took on these 2 big guys. So taking on someone that's his size is going to be a relief. He's like, oh, thank goodness I get a little one this time.
But now,
Wait,
and actually, Mach might even be a little bigger than Vachon.
wait.
Mad Dog, I think.
I just want to say, not just because I'm wearing his shirt here. The reason why I picked Macho Man is because. Oh no, no! It's because he's Macho Man. There we go.
okay. So now, the finals. Another
Woo!
big guy, and not just any big guy, the big guy.
Ryback?
No, that's not that big.
Yeah, that brings us
Oh,
down.
he's not. His career's dead.
That brings us to the final matchup of the Teal bracket. It is one Macho Man Randy Savage
Randy Savage.
facing
Andre the Giant.
Now,
Andre the Giant.
once again, this matchup is going to go down to the bracket, who these people have faced, and who has the more stamina and heart
I
out of
agree.
these 2 athletes.
I agree.
And especially, I'm going with
What was thinking juice on this one?
Captain Bill said about the previous matchup. Andre the Giant just had a match with the down and dirty, funky like a monkey, American Dream,
Dusty
Rhodes.
Rhodes.
Before
And
that,
he has had
Chief J. Strongbow.
3 matches already.
Before that, Big John Studd.
Was it Big John Studd?
Oh, no.
Brian
Christopher.
Christopher.
Yeah, that was the easy one.
So he had a breather in the beginning.
Andre the Giant is gassed. He's tired. He can't do it.
Nope.
Macho Man runs circles around Andre the Giant. He's had it before. Like I said, he won that tournament at WrestleMania 4 for the WWE Championship. He can do it again. Macho Man Randy Savage. My vote over Andre the Giant to win.
Not to mention, I'm sure
The
back
Teal
in the day,
bracket.
Macho Man and Andre did meet. And they did have matches, I'm sure. You know?
Well,
Can't think of one off the top of my head, but I mean, they were both wrestling WWE at the same time, the same era. You know,
they were in
had
that
to
same era. They
they
crossed
had to
paths.
cross paths.
I do want to say, reason why my pick is Macho Man is I'm just going to go with this. Yes, with all you said, if you look at the tournament, where they went, who they faced, who can go. But I want to bring up WrestleMania 3 again. Again, in the WWF, Hulk Hogan was one of the only guys to beat Andre. If there was going to be a second guy to do it, it's going to be the number 2 guy in the company, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah.
That's my vote.
And just to make it unanimous, yes, I'm going to go with Macho Man, even though I think this final should be elbow versus elbow.
Ah,
Macho
but it didn't happen.
Dusty.
It didn't.
But
Atomic elbow versus the bionic
if
elbow.
just for shits and giggles here, if Dusty Rhodes would have made it against Mach, who would you have picked?
Yeah, I think if it would have come down to it,